You see your current VDI setup as stable, a reliable part of your IT infrastructure, right? But what if it's quietly becoming a liability? A source of hidden costs and risks that are just holding your business back? What I'm about to do is uncover 5 strategic blind spots many leaders miss with their Citrix environments and show you how moving to Azure can drive real growth and unlock significant costs and savings. For years now, Citrix has been a workhorse for remote access and app management. But let's be honest, the game has changed and it's continuing to change regularly and really fast. Today's world of hybrid work, escalating cyber threats, and constant demand for innovation is pushing traditional on premises VDI to its limits. What once felt stable can now actually feel like friction, slow to adapt, expensive to maintain, and a headache to manage. That's why so many organizations are rethinking their strategy. The conversation is no longer if you should move to the cloud, but how and when. This isn't just about moving your setup to a new location, it's about transforming how you deliver IT. What I'm going to do is break down 5 of the most compelling and often shocking reasons why IT leaders are choosing Azure for their virtual apps and desktops. I'm swinging straight out the bat here, right? Let's hit the biggest pain point first: cost. If you're running a traditional on prem Citrix environment, you spend a fortune on servers, storage, and networking, all built to handle your busiest day of the year. But what about the rest of the time? For most businesses, demand comes in waves, right? You have peak hours and then you have nights, weekends, and holidays where that expensive hardware is just sitting mostly idle, still drawing power and racking up costs. You're paying for the data center space, the cooling, and the maintenance 24/7. This common pattern of provisioning for peak capacity means many organizations are stuck in a cycle of overpaying for resources. This is the first blind spot, right? Mistaking like sort of a sunk cost for a smart investment. By moving to a consumption based model, with a platform like Azure Virtual Desktop, you can flip your cost structure from a fixed capital expense to a flexible operational one. You start paying for the compute resources you actually use. When your team logs off, auto scaling tools can automatically shrink your environment, which has to potentially to save you significantly cut down your compute costs, right? To be clear, costs don't vanish. You still have expenses for storage and networking, but your biggest line item, compute, becomes dynamic. Instead of paying for hardware to sit idle, you align your spending directly with your business activity. Okay, a quick question, and feel free to answer this in the comments, right? How long does it take to scale your VDI environment, right? If you need to onboard a new team, support a wave of seasonal workers, or integrate a new acquisition, are we talking days? Or is it often a matter of weeks? Or dare I say, even months, right? For many, running on premises VDI, the answer is painfully slow. Scaling often involves a long procurement cycle for new hardware, followed by racking, stacking, and configuration. This lack of agility is a huge bottleneck. When speed is your competitive advantage, the inability to scale quickly means you're slow to react to market changes and onboard new talent. This is the second blind spot, confusing operational stability with business agility. Azure based platforms are built for speed and scale. Need to add 1,000 users? Can provision their desktops from the Azure portal much faster than you could, order and deploy physical servers. And it gets even faster when you bring on board Nerdio. This on-demand scalability turns your IT infrastructure into an enabler, not a constraint. You can expand into new regions by using Microsoft's global data centers, giving users a better, low latency experience without having to build your own. This is the flexibility you need to support a truly dynamic workforce, ensuring your team is productive from anywhere on any device. Let's think about all the different vendors and parts that keep your on-premises VDI actually running. Got hypervisor, server, storage hardware, networking gear, potentially load balancers, not to mention Citrix licensing, and probably a few different management tools, right? It's a complex ecosystem that your IT team has to patch, manage, and troubleshoot. This complexity creates a huge operational drag. Instead of driving new business value, Your best people are often stuck doing routine maintenance and acting as a system integrators just to keep the lights on. This isn't just inefficient, right? Every moving part is another potential point of failure. The third blind spot is underestimating the true cost of this complexity. It's not just about money, it's about the drain on your people. When you move to a platform like Azure Virtual Desktop, right, you shift a huge piece of its management burden. Microsoft manages the physical infrastructure, the data centers, the servers, and networking, and the core AVD control plane. Your team is still they're still in the driving seat for the virtual machines, images, and network policies. But they're freed up from the endless cycle of hardware maintenance. They can finally focus on what really matters: optimizing the user experience, managing applications, and protecting your data. Plus, if you've already licensed for Microsoft 365, E3, or E5, you may already have the access rights for Azure Virtual Desktop, right? So this can really simplify your software licensing and reduce costs. In today's world, security is more than a full-time job. On-premises data centers are a top target for cyber attacks, and the burden of securing the entire stack, from the physical building to the application layer, it's all on you. While it might feel safer to have your data down the hall, this creates a really false sense of security. Can your team really defend against sophisticated state-sponsored attacks 24/7? This is the fourth blind spot, assuming that physical control equals better security. When you partner with a provider like Microsoft, you're tapping into sort of a multi-billion dollar security operation that's nearly impossible for most companies to replicate. But it's critical to remember that cloud security is a shared responsibility, right? Microsoft secures the underlying cloud, but you are still responsible for securing your data, applications, and identities within it. The advantage is that Azure gives you a powerful integrated toolkit to meet that responsibility. You can use Microsoft Defender for Cloud for advanced threat detection, enforce granular controls with conditional access, and centralize your security management. And by storing data centrally in Azure, right, instead of a endpoint device, the risk from a lost or stolen laptop can be significantly reduced when properly configured, obviously, right? You're not outsourcing your responsibility, but you are gaining a powerful ally in the fight. This final reason is the most strategic, right? Your virtual desktop environment shouldn't just support today's apps, it needs to be ready for tomorrow's. Legacy on-premises VDI can struggle with modern graphics-intensive applications like CAD or video editing without huge hardware investment. Integrating with new cloud-native services can be clunky and complex. You risk optimizing for the past instead of building for the future. The final blind spot is seeing your VDI as a static system rather than a dynamic platform for growth. A cloud platform like Azure Virtual Desktop is built to evolve. It's tightly integrated with the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem, including Microsoft 365, Teams, and Power Platform. Also gives you on-demand access to GPU-powered virtual machines that can handle high-performance workloads. While these high-end resources come at a premium cost on any platform, right? Azure lets you pay for them by the hour instead of buying expensive hardware up front. This creates a flexible foundation for whatever comes next, whether it's deploying AI powered apps or simply delivering a more modern user experience. It's about future proofing your business. Rethinking your Citrix strategy isn't about knocking a technology that has served you really well, to be honest, right? It's about recognizing that the business landscape has fundamentally changed. The old model of rigid, capital intensive infrastructure is giving way to a more flexible, secure, and cost effective cloud first approach. By moving to Azure, you can shift from a model where you often overpay for idle hardware to one where you pay for what you use. You can trade slow, cumbersome scaling for on demand agility. You can simplify operations, strengthen your security with modern tools, and build a platform that's ready for what's next. This isn't just an infrastructure decision, it's a business strategy that can unlock new levels of efficiency, innovation, and growth. If you're wondering what this shift could look like for your organization, let's talk. I've got a link to my calendar in my profile on my YouTube and also in the description below. Let's set up a one-to-one call to see where your concerns are and how I can help you. Right? I could do an assessment, we can help. I can help you organize and analyze your current environment, pinpoint the biggest opportunities for cost savings and agility, and map out a clear, actionable plan for your migration to Azure. Let's start the conversation about what the future looks like for your business. And as ever, I appreciate everyone watching this video. Make sure to support my channel. You hit that subscribe button, like, and drop me a comment as well with your thoughts around that whole migration piece from Citrix to cloud, specifically AVD. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.